That thing never works.
It's connected to something.
Oh, yeah, we're being tapped. Welcome to Red Web Case Files, the show that's the accessory to our podcast, the mystery podcast about all sorts of things. We discuss disappearances, aliens, unsolved mysteries, true crime, and cryptids, which is the subject for today.
Is today Cryptids?
Today's cryptids.
I love Cryptid Day.
Let me ask you, do you know what icebergs are on the internet? Like information icebergs.
Pictures of ice. What?
Yeah, they are pictures of ice,
No,
but most of it's underwater.
No, I don't. Oh, is it like...
See if you can glean it from an actual iceberg. It's based on like the structure of an iceberg.
Got the little bit up top and
Little tippy.
Underwater.
Right.
Like a big old badonk.
Yeah.
So okay, so is it like just super diving deep into cryptids?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so today we're doing cryptids, but in general, information icebergs are the things, when you start at the very top, that's the stuff everybody knows. And then you hit to the surface level of the water, that's where you start to get into the stuff that, like, you start to lose your regular folk, and you start to hit the people that love that
like
topic.
The enthusiasts
right.
And the people that
like, for example, I geeked out and watched an hour-and-a-half long Doctor Who iceberg, where it starts with, like, all the stuff that we all know, the lore, but then as you go deeper and deeper and deeper, it's like fan theories, and like then it starts to get really obscure.
Oh, so it even incorporates fan theories.
It's everything. So today it's like cryptids.
Deep information, fan theories.
Yeah.
I'm sure like professional, like insight, all that kind of stuff.
You can do icebergs on just about everything. And I love them, so I wanted to do one here for Case Files, and if you guys like it, we can definitely explore, I feel like we could do a whole show specifically on icebergs, where we just go super long length and really go deep on the weeds on like certain topics, whether they be internet mysteries or like true crime topics and disappearances and odd things like...
So the RWCU.
So college university? What?
It's the Red Web Cinematic Universe.
Oh, gotcha. I thought we were starting to get tenure and we were going to be professors or something. I was like,
Is this where we have like Red Web like con every year, and then like we just walk out with a giant timeline that we just fill in?
Ladies and gentlemen, the timeline, phase 1.
Yeah.
And it's actually
Squonk, the TV series.
It's just all of our remodels.
Yeah.
That's just all it is.
So Baby Hands are Iron Man.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right, so let's start with it. I don't know if we're gonna have a graphic with this, but we'll at least have the images that go along with this. So like I said, with this iceberg, we're gonna discuss some cryptids, starting at the tippy top, tier 1, the stuff that everybody kind of knows, the stuff that you see all over pop culture and everything that you know. So let's start with it. Loch Ness Monster. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 kneecaps, 2 nipples, a butt.
What?
A chin. What I've just described to you is the Loch Ness Monster. Of course, the Loch Ness Monster, also known as Nessie, here's a nice image of her, is one of the creatures of literally Lake Loch Ness in Scotland. And it's been something that's been cited and talked about for centuries. It looks kind of like a dinosaur, a plesiosaur, if my memory is serving me, but mostly like an aquatic serpentile dinosaur with the fins.
Well, my memory is serving me that we did an episode on this. And this famous photo, it's fake as hell.
Is it fake? Or was it like debunked as like, that's a stick in the water?
It was debunked as in like...
Because I'm getting that and another photo mixed up.
No, was it this photo that was debunked where they had like they built a thing and then put it in the water and took a deliberate photo of it?
Oh, gotcha. I mean, it would make sense. When you really look at this with cynical eyes, waves can be of all sorts of shapes and sizes, but this definitely looks like baby waves.
Yeah.
So it gives you the scale.
Yeah, if you were actually to zoom out, it'd be like this little thing puttering around.
I feel like it's the hand, the size of a hand. You know? But yeah, that's Loch Ness Monster. If you want, like Alfredo said, we did a whole episode on some of these cryptids that you can go in, listen in depth, whether we debunk them or discuss some of the anecdotes behind some of the sightings, and also sometimes trying to figure out, can this be real?
Yeah.
Are there realistic chances that maybe a dinosaur of some sort that this looks like could have made it to today? We discuss all those things in the episode. But
so I'm excited because I'm just now realizing that this is essentially part 2 of what is my favorite episode, which was the low-tier cryptids.
Oh yeah, the obscure cryptids
the obscure
one?
cryptids.
Yeah.
And the thing I love about that was that's where we heard about Squonk, and I heard about all these different cryptids that just are with these ridiculous names, unheard of looks, and like abilities and locations and all that kind of things. And I feel like this is just an expanded version of that.
Oh, yeah.
I saw some of the names. Jesus.
Oh yeah, yeah. We
My
got the whole
God.
graphic. We'll throw that up again so we can
Okay.
tease it for you guys. But like, yeah, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. That's like your
Right,
run of the mill. I
everyone
feel like
knows
Task
Loch
Force is
Ness.
gonna really know those
Yeah.
those tiers. But then
I'm interested to know.
Yeah.
And be honest, Task Force members, because we are honest. Once we get down deep into this iceberg, let me know how many of these iceberg cryptids, like deep down, that you actually know.
yeah, where does your knowledge fall off?
Yeah.
That I'd be very curious
Yeah,
about.
because I
That.
saw lines on the graphic.
Yeah, that's
So-
basically
So
compartmentalizing.
we'll start at level 1 up top, and then
Someone's like, I fell off
numeric
with Loch
order.
Ness with the 2
Yep.
nipples thing. I never heard of that. All right, moving on. Of course, you have Bigfoot. Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch, the hairy, bipedal, ape-like creature, primarily seen in North America, the Pacific Northwest in particular, up and through Canada. Loves that humid, rainy area. Probably got a good stink on him.
I still don't believe when we did this episode that they're just up in the trees, migrating around.
You just think that we haven't looked up?
It sounds so ridiculous.
They're like, I can't see
How
these
we
big
not
feet.
hearing
And they're up there.
branches left and right crackling? And also, look, we do all of our episodes
Yeah.
in our little podcast room. You show me pictures printed out on a normal white sheet of paper, just like that. Seeing it blown up on a TV, that looks like a costume.
So you're
That
saying
looks like a straight up
you're
costume.
saying I need to keep my photos low-fi to keep you immersed?
Pretty much, because I'm like, that's a person in a suit, man.
Yeah, it does definitely look at it. There's like a whole documentary about a guy that lives, I think in Washington, that has that walk, that gait, and their hands move in a very similar fashion. So, and he was like, I was the guy in the suit. I was hired to do that. And then they tried to recreate it with that same man.
What?
I mean, but people come out saying
Yeah,
all
yeah,
sorts of things.
yeah.
I was that person. I was
True.
Krampus. Of course, here in Tier 1 as well, very well known in the cinematic world, vampires. You have your Can't Walk in the Sun,
Yep.
Blade Hunts Them Down.
I just recently
know?
rewatched Blade.
Yeah?
And Blade 2.
Man, my favorite part about vampires, with this photo, it brings
This
to
is
mind
an
like,
intense vampire.
it's an intense
photo.
one.
This isn't like one of them like, ooh, I'm gonna sex up this vampire.
right, where my
now.
colon's at, you know?
This is a gross one.
That's my favorite part about vampire lore is that, I mean, we discussed a whole episode on this one too. Like, what are the origins of vampires? And can that origin, can we take something that is like, okay, this is a cryptid and base it in reality? Where did we go from A to Z? But,
It's just so mainstream of a character.
oh yeah, I just love all the different takes of it. You have gruesome ones like this that are just absolutely like monstrous.
Right, then you have Twilight.
And then you have Twilight, glistening, beautiful, vibrant skins.
a killer, Bella.
And then when you walked in the room, he's like,
Oh, so weird.
Everyone's hit him. And then, of course, here in Tier 1, you have the cousin to Bigfoot. You've got the Yeti, a.k.a. the Abominable Snowman. Again, when you put it on screen like that, it kind of looks like a man who's just like
the same person in the same suit, but not.
that looks like me when I went out to play in the
walking up a snowy
Exactly.
hill.
I put on my snowsuit and said, Ma, I'm going to go sledding for a few hours. I'll be back when the sun goes down. And that's
That
me.
looks so much less believable blown up on a TV.
Oh, man. I got one that I can riff and throw in. I'd probably put it in Tier 4, Tier 5.
Oh my God.
Let's keep marching because we know these ones. These
Yep.
top tiers are like, you know what, let's move into the deep
the
zone.
ones
So
everyone knows.
Tier 2, let's kick
Okay.
it off nice and
I'm
easy.
gonna let you know where I fall off.
Cheeked up, Mothman.
Oh my God.
Mothman, a cryptid known for its sighting in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. One of our first cryptid episodes was on Mothman, one of my faves. And also synonymous with the collapse of the Silver Bridge, also in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Of course, known to have those glowing red eyes, a 6 to 7 foot wingspan.
Huge. How's no one seen Mothman?
I mean, it's literally like the height of a tall person. You
Yep.
know, very, very built.
NBA player.
Some people have said that this entity is covered in feathers. It's very hard to tell in the night, though.
He's got no neck in this photo.
There's no neck to be
There's
seen.
no neck whatsoever.
Maybe he's been doing his
I
shrugs.
mean, with Mothman having a wingspan that large, I mean, you've got to think that you just hear like right above it.
right. I don't think you hear anything. I think suddenly you're just gone. You're taken.
Oh, God.
People think UFOs. No, I think Mothman. I think he flies in silent like an owl, and you're gone.
I was thinking more of a vigilante, but now you're.
I think he's a misunderstood hero, but I also think he hungers.
Oh my God.
Let's move on. Jersey Devil, in the same neck of the woods, perhaps a cousin to the Mothman. You got the Jersey Devil, said to reside in the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. In most stories, this creature has a horse-like head, bat-like wings, the legs of a goat, and again with those bright red eyes. Very synonymous with these flying cryptids. And legend has it that the Jersey Devil was a cursed child born in the woods. If you want that whole story, check out our episode on Red Web. Moving on, one we haven't talked about, the jackalope. Do you know what the jackalope is?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, very simple creature. Rabbit with the horns of kind of like a deer, I guess.
Wait, that doesn't exist?
It does not exist. Now,
I thought that was a thing.
some people still believe it existed, that it's maybe perhaps a cryptid that did exist, but is now extinct, but once roamed the American West.
I thought those were real.
For so long, I thought they were real. I think I was in an Outback steakhouse as a child in Florida, just on one of those family trips, and they had one of those taxidermied up on the wall. And I was like, "Ma, they're real!" And she was like, "Yes, son." And my dad was like, "No."
I thought right up until this very moment that thing was real.
Do we just blow Task Force mind? So many people are like, "I don't know. I guess I got lost in tier 2. I thought that was real."
Right. Look, I'll be honest. I thought that was a real thing that I can go out and see. Never mind.
Now you have, of course, the quintessential cryptid of the American South and the Latin Americas, the chupacabra. It does, okay, so the legend of the chupacabra does depend on where you are hearing it. There are varying nuances to the legend depending on location. One of the popular destinations for this cryptid to have originated from and to be preying upon is Puerto Rico, where the cryptid first emerged. And it stands on 2 legs, it has fangs, gray reptilian skin, and of course those glowing red eyes.
I like their glowing red eyes.
There's something about that. Maybe it's just got albinism. Being an albino, you have red eyes, I think.
Could be. But just all these cryptids with the red eyes, and they're just like going after your livestock.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why they were called the chupacabra. Broken down into English being goat sucker for sucking out the blood. A lot of goats and livestock in general would be found with circular wounds and the body completely drained of any blood. But yeah, that's pretty much what happens. Is also nocturnal like a vampire. So maybe it's some sort of cross vampire bit a dog.
Oh, I mean, honestly, that was...
We should have explored that theory.
Yeah, honestly, that's what it would be in my head.
I mean, in the episode when we discussed this, dogs with severe cases of mange, were very prominent.
There was a photo of there was a taxidermied like giant wolf.
Oh yeah.
With like just skin, and it was gray.
Oh yeah.
And one of the theories was it was mange.
That it's just wild dogs that have cases of mange. But again, they've been seen throughout Mexico, the American Southwest, as well as Puerto Rico, again, where they kind of originated from. And
sucking on your chickens.
Sucking your chickens dry. With that said, I think it's time to dive a little deeper. Let me see that graphic again. Are we finally below the surface, tier 3?
I've known of
there we
all
are.
Of these so far.
We're getting under the surface a little bit more.
And I even believed one was true up until this moment.
Yeah. This is where I think we're going to start to see some of the task force members drop off.
Oh, okay.
Where we're like, okay, I know some of them, but I don't know this one. But let's do it.
3, okay.
Some of these you might see in the near future.
3 of 5.
3 of 5. We discussed the obscure cryptids where we first found out about, or you first found out about Squonk, but some of these might be in a near-term cryptid episode. So keep an ear out. The Fresno crawler, the first one of tier 3, the Fresno crawler has primarily been seen in Fresno, California, and Yosemite.
That's a blurry photo.
That is a very blurry photo. I think the video would do it more justice, but I'm not on about owls again, okay? I usually am, but not this time. It looks like an owl running around. You ever see those videos of owls running?
Just
where they kind of hike up their wings at like a skirt, and then they kind of just like get those long legs going. It kind of looks like that. Or like a child wearing mom's pajama pants pulled up to the shoulders and then like walking around is what it looks like.
What does it do? Does it fly?
Well,
does it have red eyes?
I think
like
it just
every
exists.
Cryptid does?
So it's bipedal. It's walking upright on 2 feet. It's pale, and it's extremely small, or at least its upper body seems extremely small as compared to the legs, which seem to be...
How small? Is it like puntable?
Probably puntable. I think maybe like 3 feet tall from like these are like home security system videos.
I'm sorry. Hold on.
Yeah?
All right. Leave this in the episode. Excuse me, Christian.
Christian?
Excuse me.
Christian?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
All right. My ability to know whether or not I can defend myself by punting a cryptid is very valid.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Don't laugh.
Please.
All right. These are very serious skill sets that must be learned.
It's a natural defense.
The punting, the T-pose, all of it.
To doubt it is to doubt evolution itself. And science in so facto.
Laughing.
Silly.
All right.
Silly.
Anyways, puntable.
Puntable. All right, moving deeper into tier 3 here, we have Krampus. Kind of like it's like a cross between, you know, a holiday mascot. I don't know what you would call Santa, but also a cryptid.
It's a holiday mascot.
Like, I couldn't tell if it was just like a fun story or actually like folklore of a cryptid. And we're gonna do a whole episode on Christmas Day, in fact, I think.
Yep. That's
The 19th is a Monday.
It's a great episode.
And then,
that's gonna be a great episode.
I think it's a Sunday. But either way, right there around Christmas, we're gonna do a Krampus episode.
I feel like Santa was a thing, big, huge, and then, the duality, good and evil, evil, good. There was there's an evil version of Santa.
You have Saint Nick, and to create something so jolly and positive, you had to create something super sinister, and that's what Krampus is. Krampus is the evil version of Saint Nick, who, instead of bringing gifts, chases and punishes bad children. Like Belschnickel.
Like Belschnickel.
Yeah. Belschnickel's kind of the harbinger to Krampus, it seems.
Yeah, there's the children in them. Yeah, we'll talk about it in a whole episode.
I feel like it's a morality story. It's just like a way to scare children into, doing
like,
good deeds.
When you try and punish them with no Santa and they go, I don't care. Then you
Yeah.
go, well, Krampus is going to come after you.
Right. He is said to not only chase bad children, but also capture and punish them in that sense, but also drag them to hell, essentially.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Is Krampus the size of like a person?
I would imagine so. He's half man, half goat, covered in dark hair, with red eyes, fangs, and a long tongue. So it's got a lot of that traditional Christian devil look in the description. But I would imagine it would be about human sized.
I'm just saying, not puntable. So now
Not
I know,
puntable.
Christian, that
Right.
a swift kick won't do me justice there.
In fact, you don't want to get goat kicked by this thing.
I'm just saying, a swift kick ain't gonna do nothing. But now I know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When Krampus comes rolling through, I'm not getting the leg ready. I'm getting the gat ready.
Or just gotta run.
Or just run. Or just run.
You see in this photo, he's got his long tongue. He's got the kids in the back going like, "Hey,
Just
I don't
carrying
wanna
him
go
around.
now."
That's crazy.
But yeah, there's a whole movie around Krampus,
course there
which
is.
is kind of like a comedy horror. But
Of course there is.
the way they did the Krampus lore was kind of interesting, where they trapped this family in this snow globe where they repeated Christmas over and over and over for eternity. And so that was, in a way, Krampus's way of punishing this family.
Doesn't sound like the worst thing.
No, but it doesn't sound great.
No.
It's like
no,
a
it doesn't.
purgatory punishment. I don't know. All right. Next up, another cousin to Bigfoot. This time his Floridian cousin, the skunk ape.
Oh, we haven't covered the skunk
Yeah.
ape.
So this is a photo that has been said to be the skunk ape. One of the popular theories, because of how like vivid this video or this photo looks, is that it could be someone's primate released, like an orangutan released to the wild out of its habitat. Either way,
They let the hair
Very
grow. They
hairy.
did not groom this
No.
primate.
it is said to be much redder in color than Bigfoot. It is also said to have a terrible odor emanating from it, which makes sense if you're a long-haired
Yeah,
creature
yeah.
like this and you're hanging around in the mossy swamps of Florida.
Oh.
Oh, good detail here. They're said to love lima beans.
How do we know that? How do we
Listen, I think trappers get out there.
What?
Leave a
Are
couple
they
open
just
cans.
Find what? How do we? Who comes up with this?
How do they stumble into that? I don't know.
Yeah, lima beans. It's so
Yeah.
specific.
Maybe a young child like myself, sorry dad, didn't finish his lima beans, threw the trash out, beans in the trash got torn asunder, trying to get at those lima beans.
And every time it was lima bean Tuesday.
Right.
Trash was torn.
Yeah,
into.
yep.
There we go.
Were you there at my family dinners, lima bean Tuesdays?
I was there stealing lima beans.
My dad wisened up. He started going with the butter beans,
Oh, that sounds good.
a little more tender, a little easier on the childish palate that I had. I was a very picky eater. All right. Next up, we have the Loveland Frogman. The Loveland frogman is said to be a bipedal frog of about 4 feet tall. So pseudo-puntable.
Look, a swift kick to the gut would probably bring down this frog.
Right,
okay?
right.
All right. It's not, the whole kick maneuver to the cryptid is not black and white. There is a gray zone. Some will hurt.
I'm just happy he's not big enough to swallow me down whole.
It's the picture where it's just a frog that's tall.
Yeah.
Up next to a guardrail.
Well,
and then there's the frog next to a human silhouette for size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Waist height. Now this is the pride and joy of Ohio. If you're from Ohio, you know everything about the Loveland frogman. That is your pride and joy. If you don't have it on merch, I don't know what you're doing with yourself.
I'm getting thumbs up. I'm getting smiles from.
Yeah.
What are y'all talking about? The pride and joy.
Absolutely. Because the frogman was first seen, and it's also the namesake, was first seen in Loveland, Ohio, walking across the street late at night in 1955. Very common situation. You're driving down, you got your low beams on, and you see something skitter across the street. Oh, what was that? Red eyes? Could have been a creature.
So you're saying the frogman's out there playing Frogger in Ohio?
Yeah, dude.
Like, I love Frogman.
Maybe he's the one who inspired the game. Which came first? Frogman or Frogger?
Dude, I mean, look at that. Look at the scale from Frogman to a human. I can kick that thing down a flight of stairs.
God, though, he looks like he's got a loving embrace.
He
looks like he would be a good hugger.
He's looking at you with some crazy eyes.
Yeah, I don't know if he's actually looking at me or if he's looking 10 yards to the right. But look at his shadow. I'll be honest, that's kind of a sexy shadow.
It's just a big frog, everyone. Okay, we had Krampus, all right?
He's got the curves.
We have Squonk. We have the Jersey Devil. Chupacabra. That's a big frog.
You could. that's just
a big frog.
That's just a big frog.
It's just a frog standing up.
You know what? That's what really went down. You know, the origin of Godzilla. There was a nuclear test near Hawaii. A lizard got irradiated, became this giant, the kaiju. What really would have happened is a frog would have got some radiation blast and would have just become a big frog.
Big frog, yeah.
Yeah. Right. The kaiju that we didn't know that we needed, but we have.
The mini kaiju.
It's the kaiju we deserve. Come on, let's be honest. I bet you. Let's be real. I don't want to kind of undermine some of these cryptids, but because there are such a wide variety of cryptids in the world, and we're only covering a handful here, you could make up. You could be like a whale that walks on human arms, and has no legs, no hands, but like just walks on like human arms kind of. I'm sure that is a thing. Or like a centipedal kind of whale. It's like a blue whale that walks on 100 human arms.
Oh, gee, why is it human? What's with you and the human arm?
Because I feel like a lot of cryptids are just like, there's human pieces in there. Mothman, Frogman.
Yeah, it's like Marvel characters.
All right, let's move. Okay. We got a lot of tiers to go. Next up and last up on tier 3, we have the Flatwoods Monster. Spotted in the Flatwoods of West Virginia, this creature is said to resemble an extraterrestrial. That's the first I've ever seen of this.
Dude, this looks like a scary nun.
That kind of does. Now, not to bring this back to owls, but I feel like somebody with kind of unfocused vision saw an owl and then went home and drew this. But yeah, this is also from West Virginia, which seems to be a hotbed for some of these, like, you know, the Jersey Devil. You got the Mothman.
Yeah.
You got a lot of things kicking around these woods.
They just want all these cryptids.
Looking at that photo, though, let me ask you what you would guess the dimensions of this entity to be before I tell you.
I'm looking at the tree. Not puntable.
Not puntable at all.
No.
That's
this is like, I would say 5-6 feet tall.
All right, well, let me blow your mind. This thing's coming in stacked, ready to be drafted to the NBA, 10 feet tall, 4 feet wide.
What?
I'm imagining that's like the shoulders and not the arms. But
how's no one seen this then?
It's described as having portholes for eyes and metal armor for the body. This is the most interesting. Now, this is honestly where I have to say I'm falling out of the tiers. I have never heard of this one before, but I'm kind of into it. 10 foot tall, 4 foot wide, armored up extraterrestrial with portholes for eyes?
I think it says something when I think the portholes are not as weird as this thing having metal armor.
Yeah.
Metal armor.
What is like? It's got a skirt, kind of, you know.
What is it going on a crusade?
I don't know.
What is happening here?
This feels like a human snatcher. You know, we talked about the missing 411. I feel like this thing could swallow up a fully grown human being, top to bottom.
Oh, the round head is.
That's a small titan.
Gross.
Most sightings report this creature as armless, in fact, despite this drawing kind of having almost T-Rex kind of arms. Yeah. While others say it has toy-like arms. So maybe it's something that it's crafted arms somehow.
We got to get on the same page here about these cryptids.
I know.
We're all over the place.
We got mixed up notes.
No arms. This person wants to put human arms on things. Mm-hmm. Very arm heavy.
Very. All right. Creepy. But let's dive deeper. Tier 4 now. We have another aquatic entity. The Oklahoma octopus. An aquatic cryptid that is said to attack and kill swimmers, much like Frodo was almost snatched at the doors of Khazad-dûm.
Oh.
Yeah. Located in the man-made lakes of Oklahoma, specifically Thunderbird Lake, Oolaga Lake, and Lake Tenkiller. So if it's kicking around the man-made lakes, that feels like nature fighting back.
How big is this thing?
If it's a man killer, based on this description, killing swimmers, it would have to be quite large for that little, the beak underneath it, right? Grabs you and puts it to the beak.
It's got the beak. Oh no, it's gonna chomp you up.
Yeah.
And it's gonna slice you and dice you.
Yeah.
Oh,
and they're smart too. Octopuses are not to be trifled with. If there was one big enough to eat humans, that would probably be my #1 fear.
Would it? Oh God. How gross would that be to just like stick one of those?
Ugh. Starts chomping. The beak is what scares me the most.
Yeah, put the beak right in your eye. Sock it right
God, dude. yeah, just put it right in your eye.
Just socket that thing right in your eye.
Yeah, no.
Chomp away at it.
All right, going deeper still, Owlman. Similar to Mothman, this is a large humanoid creature with owl-like wings. It resides in Cornwall, England, so we're kind of jumping across the pond. And the first sighting took place back in 1976.
Owlman. So I just feel like there's a cryptid for everything.
That does kind of seem that way.
Yeah.
But I would like to line up, get a little literal red web going to see if we can figure out if there's some sort of Mothman timeline conjoining with the Owlman timeline. But all right, moving deeper still, Dover Demon. Seen multiple times in the 1970s in Dover, Massachusetts, it was described as a small, rosy gray, alien-shaped creature. Although it does resemble an extraterrestrial, it was never sighted with any UFOs, so it's hard to say if this was, in fact, an extraplanetary entity. But it does roam on its own. Either way, no matter what it is.
Lone wolf.
It's a lone wolf, baby.
I mean, it's a little alien.
It does kind of have the same descriptor. It's got a large head, smaller on the body, kind of switches between walking on all fours and walking upright. Very Smeagol, Gollum-esque in that sense. Yeah.
Oh, Lord of the Rings.
If I can make everything about Lord of the Rings, you know I'm going to do it. It is the movie podcast about mysteries.
It's awesome.
Moving on now, the Dauphin, a mischievous. I didn't make this, okay? Don't pretend that I shoehorned this in. This was not me. This is Jillian, this is Kat, this is Gracie, our pleasant and lovely researchers.
Bro.
Dauphin, a mischievous owl-like creature, says to play tricks around town by pinching young girls and braiding the manes of horses.
Okay.
What an interesting trick. It's just pinching people.
Bro, what does it do again? Braid horses' hair?
It braids the manes of horses and pinches young girls around town. It kind of sounds creepy when you put it like that.
This little thing is a creep.
It's kind of a creep.
That's what it is. It's a creep.
Okay, moving deeper in still on this Dauphin. They were first sighted in the Hautes Alpes, or put a heavy American accent on it, the Hautes Alpes region of France in 1820. Oh. Basically the southeast area. It's here if you want to see it. It's Hautes Alpes. It's in the Alps of France.
Yep.
And that was back in the 1820s. They are believed to be inspired by the large eagle owls that live in that region, which makes sense. Large entities.
They're sneaking in owls.
1820s might be one of the oldest cryptids, the original cryptid, the owl. Moving into tier 5 now. This is where you have to just let go of reality and let it wash over you, because This is where it gets wild.
Oh God.
I think I'm gonna jump to the second one here because I think Jillian had a heavy hand in this one. It is her favorite. It embodies her per her own words. It is the squonk.
It's the squonk.
It is the squonk. Essentially an ugly bald pug. The squonk is a creature that's said to live in the hemlock forest of northern Pennsylvania. Because of its ill-fitting and wart-infested skin, it hides from sight and spends most of its time weeping. If captured or seen, it tends to dissolve into a puddle of its own tears. We do have some captured right up here. Authentic squonk. Of course,
good old squonk.
it melted of natural causes, but we did scoop it up.
We didn't do it.
We each took a sip though.
Look.
And it tastes like depression.
Tastes like liquid butter.
And butter?
We got a squonk captured.
Yeah. While you're putting that away, I also want to remind you, January 3rd, mark your calendars because we have a squonk pin and a squonk plush coming. Just while we're here in Tier 5 talking about squonk, get some squonk love on. Everyone loves squonk. I think he represents all of us a little bit. And that will be available at store.roosterteeth.com again, January 3rd. Check it out.
Order it. Love it.
Don't let it melt.
Dare look at it. You look at it, it'll turn to water.
If it turns to water.
And there's nothing I could do about it. I'm sorry. There are no refunds
There's no refunds on that part. I'm sorry. And honestly, like that's just another lost squonk.
Yeah. Oh, you got a pin though.
But make sure you Ziploc it up though. You could keep your squonk in water form like we did.
Yeah.
Just a Ziploc
there you go.
Squonk.
The rest is on you.
Yeah.
You know what to do or not to do.
But we also have the first, or what is argued to be the first cryptid of the internet, of the AI space, and that is Loeb.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That was such an interesting episode.
So we know now that there are AI tools that develop art. There are a lot of strong feelings about it, and I respect all of those opinions, so I won't get too deep into it, but basically what this is an entity that's super composite, their Twitter username. They're a musician, an artist, but they also play around with AI software, and they have their own kind of tool that they use. And this AI analyzes all sorts of art and imagery to develop things based on text prompts.
Right.
And what they did was they were messing around with their own AI tool, and if you want to have all the details, go check out the episode. But basically, they found that this entity known as Loeb would always show up, no matter what. It just kept finding a way to insert itself into these photos, and every time it did, the photo would take on this very morbid and kind of decrepit look.
Yeah.
And so it kind of ended up being this haunting presence that wouldn't leave their imagery alone. And it actually all started with them trying to find what would be, when you put in, like, for example, a mountain, it might give you a mountain.
Yeah.
But you can also say, give me the opposite of my prompt. And that's how they found Loeb, was they put the opposite of Marlon Brando, they got something, and then they tried to do the opposite of the opposite to see if they would actually get Marlon Brando. What is the double negative of a person but that person? Well, that's how they got Loeb. A very interesting story, but it is said to be perhaps one of the first AI art cryptids.
That is such an insane story. And cool because, like, you know, it's stuff that is more recent, and we're covering it as it's happening.
Absolutely. And it's all about machine learning and machines analyzing human art, and then what happens when that machine tries to replicate it. I don't know. Very interesting stuff, still in development and still kind of being understood. But moving on, we have the sky jellyfish. Also sometimes called atmospheric jellyfish, they are creatures that are seen floating in night skies resembling some type of UFO.
Oh, that could be why we should have UFOs.
Oh, you think
cryptid.
Maybe it's just a living entity?
Yeah.
Something like Nope.
Yeah, it's just something like Nope.
Yeah.
Who's to say the UFO isn't an actual entity?
Yeah. Now, to your point, some people actually believe that UFOs are nothing but these sky jellyfish, that they're just living entities kind of floating around, and that the bioluminescence from these jellyfish are actually what create the unique light patterns that you see on UFOs.
That's a really cool way to take something that is already established and then turn it into a cryptid.
Yeah. Kind of like a new lens on
or,
an
you
old
know,
topic.
some people believe it's vice versa, right?
Right.
It's like a cryptid turned into something else.
Right. I think what's interesting too on this front is that a lot of these cryptids tend to be localized. Sometimes a region, sometimes a town. But in this case, sightings have been reported as broad as from China to Norway, which is a wide swath of land, and have occurred multiple times throughout the 20th century. So who's to say? I mean, that's...
Oh, I mean, yeah, sky is not the limit in this case, right?
Ooh.
So you can travel wherever they want to go.
That feels like I'm reading a headline on it. Sky's not the limit when it comes to sky jellyfish.
Sky jellyfish.
All right, and with our last cryptid of this particular iceberg, not the last cryptid in the world, but we have the slide rock bolter, a massive land creature that resembles a whale or dolphin of sorts with hooks in its tail to grab onto the sides of mountains. Ooh, I have heard of this one.
This is a very interesting creature.
Yeah, so basically, I'm sure it's
sliding all over mountains.
I'm sure it's in my notes, and I'll read those verbatim in a second, but my understanding of this is that they claw their way up a mountain, and when they're hungry, when they're ready to eat, they let loose, and they create rock slides, and they slide down the mountain with their mouth open, and they scoop up anything in its path.
Well, this one looks massive.
Now, this would be the catfish I'd be terrified of. The one that could climb up a mountain, just swing at you.
There you go. Catfish that he's terrified of.
I'm terrified of all catfish. I'm just saying owls are a little bit more so.
That soundbite.
Just not more.
Cut that out.
Just not more than an owl. Make sure you tuck that into whatever you cut.
Leave it in.
Just leave that right at the end.
Tuck it right tail end of every episode.
All right, spotted by North American lumberjacks in the 19th and 20th century, they are said to only live in mountains steeper than 45 degrees. Has something to do with the belly and the coefficient of friction. You know, they got to get up to speed.
I mean, that makes sense. I was very curious as to how they're getting up the mountain. But, I mean, yeah, they claw their way back up. Yeah. This is so massive. Like, I want this creature. Well, no, I don't want this creature to exist.
Hold on now.
I want this to be more of like, I don't know, I guess I want this creature to exist in like cinema because it looks pretty cool and unique.
Yeah. Could you imagine you're just like watching what you thought was like a pretty normal Western film and you're like, people like, I'll see you at high noon. And then like suddenly just like, what's that sound? And then like just like a 40-foot catfish comes barreling off the hill like Tremors except above land and it just
I was about to say Tremors.
Scoops them up whole.
And then the title screen.
Yeah, and it just ends. Boom.
And the credits.
The last piece here is kind of what I was riffing on. The creature is apparently said to lie in wait during the day, watching for mountain goers. Once it spots its prey, the tail hooks will release as it slides down the mountain with an open mouth, inhaling its victims on the way down.
I feel like you'd see just a bunch of just paths that this thing just slid down.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean...
knocked over trees, gravel, rocks, all that, busted into.
You know, when you see a falling rock sign and you're driving through the Smokies or something, you might as well go ahead and read that sign as, look out, might be a giant fish up there.
I mean, it could be.
Because there are places with common rock slides.
True. I mean, this is the kind of creature I feel like I'd see in Guillermo del Toro type of movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's why I want to see this now in a movie or a show because it's such a cool looking creature.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I mean, really, it's a catfish with like hooks that it uses to move around, but I like it.
Yeah. Well, you like the catfish now.
No. What you must love what scares you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put that in some sort of book, a motivational book. You must love that which scares you. I think you need to respect it.
Put it away.
Yeah, put that in the filing cabinet here. All right, well, that has been kind of a light tap into the icebergs. I know this was a longer episode of Case Files, but that's what happens when you get into an iceberg. It always goes long.
I've come to realize I like cryptids.
Yeah?
Yeah, because even the ones that are so obscure, it's always like, I always want to flip to the next one and be like, what's this
What's
one?
next?
What is this?
Absolutely.
What
I
does
feel
it
like
eat? What does it look like?
I feel like we could make a book, A to Z, like an encyclopedia of cryptids.
Yeah.
Cryptidpedia.
By Baby Hands.
Yep, exactly.
He's just dressed up in this little educational outfit.
The pages are huge though, so he's like,
yeah, and he's always just there pointing.
Yeah. All right, well, that has been our first foray into icebergs.
Damn.
If you guys like that, if you want us to continue exploring icebergs, let us know. There are internet mystery icebergs and true crime and unsolved mysteries and alien icebergs. I mean, those are all immediately in our backyard of the topics we've discussed, but there are icebergs for literally everything. So if there are icebergs out there that you want us to explore, we will absolutely do that. Some are so big that they need to be broken out into multiple parts.
Oh, interesting.
Where the tier 1 is just bigger than this whole list right here.
This is just a mini iceberg.
This is a mini iceberg. They come in all shapes and sizes. So
well, this is the season finale of
it
Red
is.
Web Case Files.
It is.
Season 1, the finale. We did it.
Film them all in one day.
Yeah, all of it. Just a lot of changes of outfits. I had someone come in, cut my hair. Had someone come in, grow my hair.
Someone grew and recut and regrew our hair.
Yeah, there we go. Tricked you, fooled you, you bought it. But thank you so much. Again, like we always say, to be able to do a show like this is awesome. And you guys have been loving and supporting it. And we've got a ton more ideas and some ideas that we want to revisit. So thank you so much. That's season 1 of Case Files.
Absolutely. And if this was your first video with us, be sure to check out the Red Web Podcast wherever you prefer to listen to podcasts, as well as hitting that subscribe button down there, hitting the bell so you never miss an episode. And sometimes we also post shorts. If you like that vertical snippet, you want
some of you do.
Yeah, some bite-sized mysteries. You never want to miss out on what creepiness is happening in the world. Otherwise, Fredo, hopefully see you next season on Case Files. Otherwise, I'll see you next Monday for another mystery. Take care, folks.
Season 2, I wrangle and ride to catfish. And I punt an owl.